Welcome to a new video in my home automation series, and today I'm playing around with iHost again. And in one of the previous videos where I played with virtual devices, I said that I want to do more experiments on this one, and especially creating virtual devices that are not just simple like switches, especially like sensors, temperature, humidity. And now I have created a bunch of them, and you can see here. And what I wanted to use this for is I wanted to get data from online weather forecast and then push this into iHost. So what I have done is I've subscribed to OpenWeatherMap, where I can get forecast for current weather, the next couple of days, or hourly weather or weekly weather, and put this information into iHost as virtual devices. So now, even if you don't have, for example, an outside temperature sensor, you can use OpenWeatherMap and then create a device which is going to mimic the outside temperature. You can see it here. And we can do a lot of other things as well. So, for example, you can create something based on, for example, precipitation, the wind speed, or chance of rain, or the amount of clouds. So there is an awful lot of information available in the OpenWeatherMap, and you can potentially bring all this information into iHost. And of course, the reason you would want to bring it into iHost because you want to create a scene. So for example, you can see here that I have a couple of sensors. Let me change the view so you can see the whole screen. So for example, I have the outside temperature and humidity. You can see that it actually measures the outside temperature. It draws the graph exactly the same way as it would do for a sensor. I can also create a sensor based on the feels-like temperature. So, wind chill and that sort of stuff. Or, for example, I have started sort of hacking the system because at the moment Sonoff only offers temperature and humidity. But if I want to capture some other information, for example, chance of rain, I just decided to use humidity for that. So this is going to say it says humidity percentage, but this figure is actually the chance of rain. So at the moment there is 0 chance of rain for today, for tomorrow. But it just says humidity here, but if you know what the data behind it is, then you can use it for pretty much anything. Or for example, I have wind speed here. So that actually again says percentage relative humidity, but actually the figure is the kilometer per hour's wind that is measured, that is forecasted for the outside. So if you have, for example, awnings, you can use this information if you want to retract the awning. And also I have information, for example, what is the minimum expected temperature for today, or what is the maximum expected temperature. Oof, it's not really nice for today. And again, you could use this information to decide how your house is going to behave, how you can, preheat or pre-cool your house based on how cold or hot it is expected to be today. And since I was talking to scene, let me just show you the scene section. And actually this is something which was not available before, but now it is. Not available because previously when I wanted to create a new scene and I wanted to create a smart device, so based on a smart device, then what really happened is that if I had a temperature and the humidity sensor, then it worked. But if I had a temperature only or humidity only sensor, then I could not complete the scene. So for example, now I can say that, okay, if the wind speed is, more than, 20, again, it says percentage, but that's going to be kilometers per hour. So if it's between 10 and 20, so there is there is a high wind, then I want to operate a smart device. So I don't really have an awning and nothing is connected to the awning, but let's say, like channel 4 on the 4CH Pro is going to retract the awning. So I want to turn it on and I save it. So now you have a very simple scene which is going to act on based on this wind speed information which is coming from OpenWeatherMap. And of course you can do the same for for temperature as well. So I can, some smart device. I can do the outside temperature, which contains temperature and humidity as well. But now I can also do temperature only. So for example, this is temperature only. So let's say if the outside temperature is expected to be between 30 and 40 degrees, maybe again you want to start a smart device which, let's say, controls a fan or an air conditioning. So maybe you can set this up to execute in the evening. So if it's going to be really hot outside tomorrow, then you can pre-cool your house in the evening. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how you create how do you subscribe to this service on OpenWeatherMap, and then I'm going to show you how you create these these virtual sensors in Node-RED. And I have done a completely separate video where I go into details of how you can call OpenWeatherMap, how you can see the various information, what is useful, what is something that you need to look for. And that's again like a 20-minute video, so I don't want to talk about a lot on actually consuming the service, rather just go through a couple of examples. And if you're really interested in the details, you can go back to my other video and then watch that fully, because that's also Node-RED, so it's completely applicable to this scenario as well. So as I said, I'm using OpenWeatherMap, but there are so many of these weather services. You might be able to find something which is local to your country, which could be, I don't know, more specific to your location. But I think OpenWeatherMap is considered to be like a really good online service. And when you set up or when you subscribe to OpenWeatherMap, it is going to give you a free service. So if I look at the services, you can see that I have that's a free service, which you can see that you can do current weather, and there is no daily forecast or hourly forecast available, and this is completely free. But they have another service, which is this one, which is the one called API 3.0, and this is a paid service, but it only becomes paid after 1,000 calls a day. So if you're using it for yourself, and the way I set up the Node-RED flow is that it's going to call this service once every hour. So again, but even if you call, let's say, if you call it once per minute, then it's 3,600 calls a day. So that's definitely going to go above the limit. But again, once an hour, it's going to be 24 calls a day. So you can keep this well below the daily limit, which means that this service is technically going to be free for you basically forever. The only thing is that when you subscribe to this one, it's going to ask for credit card details, because in case you go over to the limit, then you need to pay for it. Obviously, you will get billed, and you can see it here. So I would say that you should really subscribe to this, because there is a lot more functionality in here. But just make sure that you set up your Node-RED to only call, let's say, once an hour, or even if you set it up every 15 minutes, that's going to be below 1,000 calls a day. And make sure that the API key that you are going to generate is not going to, you are not going to give it to anybody else. So if you share your flow, make sure that the API key is not included in that. And by the way, once you subscribe to this, under the API keys, you can generate yourself a new API key. You can see it here, and that's what we are going to use in Node-RED. But again, if you want to understand the details, it's all in my other video. And this is all you have to do in OpenWeatherMap. So go to the website, sign in, subscribe to this service, give your credit card details, generate the API key, and then that's it. We can move over to Node-RED. So the Node-RED part is actually, it's not really complicated, to be honest. It's this much. You can see it here. So what I have done in this flow is up on the top, I created all these virtual devices. So at the moment we have 6 of them. You can see the 6 boxes here. And then we have an update flow, which, as I said, it executes every hour. And it calls the OpenWeatherMap API. So you will see what the API call is. And again, I detailed how this call works in my other video, because you can specify in this video whether you want hourly updates or weekly, daily updates, or I think there is even minutely or something like that. And I go into the details which one makes sense. If you are looking for a specific information, to be honest, I only care about the daily, because in most cases what I want is a forecast for the next day. And also you can change the language, you can change the units of measure in the API call. And that's everything built into the URL. So this calls the API service OpenWeatherMap, and then in the return data or in the return packet, it basically just tells you everything about the temperatures, humidities, wind speeds, clouds, precipitation, everything. And then what we do is we start to pick information from this basically big data packet and then put it into the various sensors that we have created before. So it is very easy to do, and it's very easy to expand, because I only given you a couple of examples what you can do, but you can really go like, completely bananas and create like even hundreds of different sensors, because definitely there is that much information in the API call, and then just expand this section with more nodes, and also expand this section of the flow with more of the slicing data out of the response or the data packet that we get from OpenWeatherMap, and then put it into various sensors. So now let's dive into the details. What you're going to see here is basically a combination of temperatures and humidity sensors. Some of them are only temperature, some of them are temperature and humidity. For some, like the outside weather, or let's say the current outside weather, where I have temperature and humidity as well, then I use both. And other cases where like the max temperature outside or max temperature tomorrow, that's only a temperature value, so I only use temperature. This part of the flow starts with a inject node which executes on start, and this is required because if you restart your Node-RED or you restart your iHost, then these virtual sensors will disappear, so it will automatically create them again. And if we go into each of the sensors, you will see that they have a name, they have a device name. I always keep the two the same. Obviously you need to configure your iHost, what your iHost device is, but then you do this for if you want to use it for anything else in Node-RED anyway, so you put in the IP and you request a token. By the way, it's a straightforward process, but again, I do have a separate video on this whole Node-RED integration on the iHost as well. And the next one, which is important, is this device ID. This device ID has to be unique for every single device that you create. I have this simple website, which is the online UUID generator. You can create these random UUIDs here, but you can just type numbers, letters here as well. It just has to be unique. So when you are doing a copy and paste, just make sure that you always update the device ID. And this one is a temperature only sensor. So you can see that it's temperature or humidity or temperature and humidity. And you have to give it a name, a model, and a version. This is just something that you type in, and then you provide a service IP. So this is the same IP as, well, that's the host of your IP, because you are running the Node-RED on the iHost as well. And then for temperature, what I define here is that the temperature unit is Celsius, and I also give it a default value of 0. So that's how you create a temperature sensor. So something like, for example, this one. So when you create it and then you execute the flow, so first you create this section and then you deploy the flow, and then these sensors will start appearing here on your iHost, and they will appear with 0 centigrade or 0% humidity, because that's the default value. So the second one is exactly like that. The name, the device name, and the device ID is different. Other than that, everything is the same. And let's look at a humidity one. So this is the chance of rain that I'm storing as humidity. So you can see it has a name and the device name. Again, a unique ID. This one is a humidity sensor, and it has a capability of humidity, and it has no additional info because humidity is percentage, and you have the initial state, which is 0 humidity. I mean, technically you can store even some arbitrary number like wind speed or chance of rain in temperature as well. I just decided to use the humidity because, well, percentage is less weird than centigrade for a value like that. So that's all you need to do. Again, set a default value. And for the outside temperature, which is temperature and humidity, again, you can see that the category is this. It has two capabilities, temperature and humidity. And here I just combined whatever I used before. So I determined that the temperature unit has to be Celsius, and I default both the temperature and the humidity to 0. So again, you set up these. If you want to create more, you can just copy and paste these nodes, connect it to the inject node, make sure that you change the names, the unique ID, and the ID as well. So these three fields, make sure that you change them. Well, that's the really important one to change, but of course change the name, otherwise you wouldn't know which one is which. And when you have done this part, you you deploy, and then that would automatically execute this inject node, and the new IDs will be created. And once we have done this, we can move our attention to the second part of the flow. And by the way, I have included some documentation here. So you can see, you can link to the OpenWeatherMap 1 call API documentation here. And this is one of your default calls. So you can see that that's the base URL. Here you provide your longitude and longitude of your location where you want to get the weather info of. You can specify, well, I specified here that the units should be metric, so you can change this to imperial. And I included here that I want, from the forecast, I want hourly, minutely, and also the alerts. The current weather is also always included, so this is just the forecast that you want to specify which one you want. To be honest, I'm not using the alerts and the minutely. I only use these are the excludes. So I excluded all these, which means that the only thing which is included for me is the daily forecast, which gives you a forecast for the next 7 days, and of course the current. And at the end, you have to paste here your API key that you have generated on your on the OpenWeatherMap website. And that's it. So once you have done this, then make sure that you update the URL. So, you know, change the location, unit of measure, the excludes, and the API key. So you make sure that you update it here. And this is all you need to do here. So just update the URL here. And if you want to do testing, of course, you can just, click on this inject node, and then in the debug, you will see the information that gets returned. But what I have also done is I have included one example set of data here. So this is what gets returned by the OpenWeatherMap. And of course, this is frozen in time couple of months ago in my city, but again, it's good enough for testing. So if you just click on this inject, and what that will do is now it has updated all my sensors. So all of a sudden I have 11 degrees outside, but it's freezing outside. But anyway, but what you can do here is now in the debug node, you can see what is available. So you can see that I have selected the hourly and the daily, and also I'm getting the current. So in the current, you are getting all these information. So for example, temperature feels like, pressure, humidity, dew point, UVI index, percentage of cloud, wind speed, and in the weather you get some additional information as well, so that it's a foggy weather. Everything is here, and then what I started to do is I started to pick out something that I'm interested in. So for example, if I'm interested in the current temperature, which is this one, let's pick an easier one. That's the feels like. So this is the feels like, and as you can see, it is under message.payload.current.feels like. But if you click on this small icon which says copy path, then it's just going to copy this information for you. And you can see my feels like example. So this the data that comes in goes to this change node, and here I change the payload to this expression which says temperature, and then colon, and message.payload.current.feels like. So exactly what I said here. But you can also do this So now I did the copy path. So now the system copies everything from payload, so message dot, and then just paste, and it puts like payload.current.feels like. So it's very simple to do. You look at the data, you feel that, oh, this is a useful information, I need the pressure for something, you can just create a new sensor, you copy the path here, and then you change it like this. So if it's a temperature, then that's how the data that you put into the payload should be look like. And of course, the actual value here, it should be coming from the value that you picked from the data. And if I want the current temperature and the humidity, so that's this one, and the humidity is 93. So here, what I have done, well, this looks a little bit more complicated because it's a temperature and the humidity in one single message, but you can see message.payload.current.temp and message.payload.current.humidity. So temp and the humidity. So this will update the temperature and the humidity at the same time. And then in the node, after the change node, we are just using this put device status, and then you select the iHost, the humidity sensor, and then you select the humidity sensor. So either wind speed or, tomorrow chance of rain. These are my humidity sensors. And in order to select things from here, you have to make sure that this part of the flow is executed, because obviously the devices needs to be created. So you always need a change node, and you always need this device put device state node, where you select the appropriate device to be updated. So I have shown you an example of temperature. That was the example for temperature and the humidity. And let's look at a humidity only. So that's like the wind speed. So that's humidity is, well, it's again like a nested humidity object, but here the wind speed is message.payload.current.wind speed. So this one, but again, the reason I use this $floor sign and the brackets, because iHost handles humidity in even numbers. So basically I just dropped the decimal places. So this wind speed is 1.03, and now we are only going to see 1 on the UI. Yeah, and of course it adds percent because it thinks that it's a relative humidity. So if you need to convert the values, you can use this example. And then of course it just goes to the wind speed. And temperature, I've shown you, feels like temperature. That was the first example. Chance of rain. So that was interesting because the chance of rain is you are only getting in, let's say, in a daily or hourly. So in the daily, I have, it's pretty much the same information what you have. I mean, in the forecast, for example, you don't get feels like. Oh no, you do. Sorry, you do get feels like, and actually you get feels like for 3 times of the day. But then you see this pop. It's the percentage of precipitation. So that's 0.25. So this means that there is a 25% chance that there is going to be a rain tomorrow. So what I do here is that I do message.payload.daily1, because in the daily array, this is the first element, and then .pop, and then just times 100. So from the 0.25, it just becomes 25, and 20, oh, no. Okay, maybe that was an old update, but this is how it becomes 25. So you can see that there is a separate one for rain, and I think that if there is snow, then it's going to have another attribute which says snow. So you can play around with these numbers. As I said, there are some limitations, obviously, because we can only use a temperature and the humidity sensor. And I think in some cases you may even have some issues. So I brought up the pressure as an example, but I'm not sure if you would be able to put pressure into a humidity reading, because this is obviously a number greater than 100. So I haven't tested this. I'm not sure what the system is going to do with that. Maybe it's just not going to, maybe just going to ignore it. I don't think it's going to show 1022%. And the same with the, the fractional figures. Obviously, you have to, round them up or maybe multiply them by 10. I mean, it's anyways going to look weird to have percentage reading for something which is clearly not percentage. But, if you only want to use it for automations and not on a dashboard, then, well, it's going to exist on your iHost. You just don't put it anywhere where it's visible. And as I said, I have a much more detailed video of how this looks like, but probably the most important one, which you likely to use as well, is a forecast for the next day. So you will find this under daily and on the first one. So in the daily, you get like, as you can see, 8 objects within the array. So this is tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and one day next. And it's pretty much the same in the hourly as well. So this, you see that you get, not 24, 48 items for daily. The first one is the current hour. So the first one is the next hour, and then the hours beyond that. And you can see that actually it shows the time zone, but it's in UTC. But again, if you need hourly forecast because you need, for example, the cloud cover in the next hour, or more importantly, maybe wind speed, that's something that you might be interested in an hourly resolution, then you just need to request the hourly in the, should not exclude the hourly when you create your URL, and you will get the hourly figures as well. So this is why I said that you can go absolutely bananas, because I think there are like, hundreds of data points here. You most probably not going to use them for automations. You can use them as tiles for, in a dashboard, in a cast screen if you want to use that. But yeah, probably you're going to be a little bit sensible after some time and then just keep to a, a bunch of readings. But as I said, whether you create, 6 or 20, you are still going to get all this information in one single call. So in terms of your API daily limit, it doesn't really make a difference. So you can use as many data as you want. Just make sure that you are using one single HTTP request, and make sure that you are setting an interval here in the inject node, which will keep your daily calls below 1000 calls. And then it's going to be free for life. So I think that would be all that I wanted to share you, how you can consume online weather services in iHost, and how you can use them for automations to build up scenes. If you are interested in this flow, you will find the download link in the video description below. But that will be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.